Hi everyone, Dr. Ovi Kinterball here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of getting turned into a weird egg-themed supervillain in a laboratory accident. And today we're going to be doing a review of the new Kyros album, Mannequin. The greatest joy that I get from doing these videos is when I get to discover a band that's been doing the rounds for a little while now, and I finally stumble upon them by a recommendation from a friend. This mostly happens when Nathan on Shuffle points something out to me, because gosh dang if they haven't figured out my taste to a terrifyingly accurate degree. When something is billed as progressive pop rock with a heavy emphasis on synth, and can draw easy comparisons to the likes of Frost, Ulver's more recent output a la Assassination of Julius Caesar, Voyager, Depeche Mode, and funnily enough the Sonic the Hedgehog soundtracks, you're damn right that I'm basically slacking off all my responsibilities with this new house, and I'm settling in for a thoroughly good time. And believe me when I tell you that a thoroughly good time is exactly what I've had with the latest album Mannequin from British group Kyros. Formerly known as Synaesthesia, this is their 6th full-length album, but oddly not my first time with them, as I was expecting. Turns out I actually listened to their sophomore album Vox Humana back in 2016. Or at least my Last FM stats tell me I have done, but this is certainly the first time I remember actively listening to them. Starting out as a solo project of multi-instrumentalist and phenomenally talented Shelby Logan Warne, the band progressed into a full-blown, fully realised outfit, and currently consists of Shelby on vocals, keys, synth and mixing, Joey Frivola on guitars and backing vocals, Robin Johnson on drums and percussion, and Charlie Coward on bass. Now what struck me most about the band, and this album especially, is the sheer variety and diversity of sounds on offer. There's everything from vaporwave soundscapes to exciting metal breakdowns, from complex and intricate keyboard solos to vast sweeping ethereal synthetic backgrounds and moods. It is an exceptional smorgasbord of textures that never feels like it's becoming overwhelming or trying to fit too much into its hour-long runtime. It's a very immediate album, full of the kind of instant gratification and enjoyment that you would expect from modern pop music, but manages to not sacrifice any kind of artistic integrity or vision for the music. So often when we think or envisage modern pop music, you've got this idea of a boardroom meeting, figuring out what do the kids enjoy, and how can music be written to capitalise on that to maximise profit margins, etc, etc. Kyros have managed to capture that essence of catchiness, of infectious replayability and grooviness, without it feeling like it's debasing to a lowest common denominator. This album feels like this is what pop music should be capable of, what more pop bands should be aspiring to, capturing the essence of what it is to be a mainstream sound, but allowing themselves scope to extend out their musical and technical flair to make a fusion between complexity and accessibility unlike anything else. What does mark this out from a typical pop album, though, is the fact that we have several songs approaching the 8-minute mark. The whole experience is nearly an hour long, and for all of its accessible and catchy melodies, it's really the complexity of the instrumentation in the grander scope and scheme of the album that really serves as its most identifying hallmarks. The album opens with the very gentle and easy-breezy intro track of Taste the Day, setting the scene nicely with a vocally driven paragraph. Lyricism and vocal talent is the immediate order of the day, with Shelby's vocals skirting the line between delicate innocence and a worldly burdened knowledge. It's a fabulous little segue into the main meat of the album that follows it, and is one of the nicest and overall just very pleasant album intros I've heard in a while. The first main track, though, of Showtime is precisely that. It's showtime. Kyros are here, and they've assuredly landed, and this instrumental piece really hammers home the band's signature groove and style. My partner described it as a modern band performing Sonic the Hedgehog music, and it's honestly hard to think of a more succinct description than that. The synth soars, the bass pops, the drums thunder, and the guitar rips. It's all very positive and uplifting sounding, with major keys abound, with thick and chunky grooves and passages being the order of the day. It's a great piece, but I do feel that the lack of Shelby's fantastic vocals holds it back from the upper tiers for the album as a whole. It's very easy to forgive this though, as she's back in stunning fashion on the following track of Illusions Inside, which fires out some brilliant 80s gated drums as the tempo slows down a notch and these really grimy synths kick in, giving a delightfully darkened edge to the saccharine sweetness that we've been exposed to so far. The bass work here is especially good, providing us with more than just a dependable backbone for the music, frequently thrusting itself into the limelight with an elegant grace. The fourth track of Esoterica is an easy favourite for me, pushing forward a powerful vaporwave, sunglasses at night, neon pink aesthetic right from the get-go. It's the first long track on the album at a solid 7 minutes and really opens up the band's willingness to play with the extra time, allowing passages to flourish and evolve over the extended running time, but never lingering for too long on any single idea. There's a great degree of build-up and payoff here, especially in the opening minutes, while the atmospherics and mood are allowed to take charge. I would comfortably call this the try it and see song off the album. If you dig this song, you'll likely enjoy the album as a whole. It's the first real demonstration of the pure progginess of the record too, with plenty of off-kilter musical stings, odd instrumentation choices, and little flashes of cheeky why the hell not moments amidst one of the catchiest, most mainstream-sounding choruses you'll ever hear from a progressive rock song. Now this is hardly where the prog ends though, as the band are now in full swing, and by this point we can assume they have your attention, so they keep the prog going into the following track, The End in Mind, which is another big highlight on an album that feels chock full of them. The drumming in the early stages of this song is of particular note, managing to feel both complex, melodic, and richly textured in equal measure. This opens up nicely to some excellent slap bass, some orchestra hits, and sublime vocal punctuation. Shelby is really rising in my estimations as a microphone pundit at this point in the album. Her mastery of melody and inflection is wonderful to hear as she dances across an enviable range and showcases a broad depth to her abilities. But then we're back to this absolutely insane, convoluted instrumental section that feels like Haken doped up to the eyeballs on hallucinogens, while Jem Godfrey watches on the sidelines nodding his approval silently. It's got so much going on that it feels like you need a dozen listens before you can fully appreciate the scope and scale of the instrumentation and compositional chops that it takes to write music like this. The album honestly just keeps on firing out banger after banger though, and while I do feel that the latter half doesn't quite live up to the insane hype of the first, it is nonetheless still an extraordinary selection of songs. Digital Fear is an excellent instrumental break full of a kind of whimsical cyberpunk-esque atmospherics and serves as a needed palate cleanser from the pure technical wizardry that preceded it. Ghosts of You is quite possibly the most egregiously Sonic the Hedgehog sounding music yet though, feeling like a blinged out casino night zone full of the sexiness and sleaze of the 1980s. There's sultry vocals that wouldn't feel entirely out of place on a Bruno Mars track, enough funk and groove to fill a neon-lit German discotheque, and it's quite possibly one of the most danceable prog rock songs I've ever listened to. Liminal Space feels like the down-tempo, chilled-out, synth-driven anthem that the album has been calling out for, and it doesn't disappoint in this regard. It's a lot less busy than some of the other tracks on the record, but it is no less relevant for it. Following a more straightforward structure, it's a nice, easy-listening song that carries itself with catchy hooks and introspective-sounding vocals. Penultimate song of Technology Killed the Kids 4 is a late-game highlight and shows off the more progressive metal side of the band, with some of the vocals taking on a more angular and aggressive tone, with the instrumentation comfortably reflecting the shift in mood. It's still nicely built up to though, and feels like it's done appropriately to reflect the cynicism and anger in the content of the lyricism. Now I'm not sure if the harsher vocals are from Shelby or if these are being done by Joey Frivola though, but they are expertly woven into the sound of the track and feel like a powerful antithesis to the bubblegum pink of some of the earlier tracks. The album closes with Have Hope, which, as its namesake suggests, pushes us back into the up-tempo, major key positivity of most of the album. It's still another earwormy, synth-laden platter of excellent songwriting, of course, and serves as a delightful closer to an album that's already had more peaks than the Rocky Mountains range. So, what else can I say about Kyros' Mannequin? It's always a pleasure when something comes along, I have zero expectations for it, and it leaves a 100-foot deep crater in my soul with how crushing the impact of it has been for me. This has most assuredly been one such album, and it has cemented itself as a very early highlight of the year, and one that's an incredibly easy recommendation for me to make, especially if you're into the lighter side of progressive rock and you're a fan of keyboards and synth. I will absolutely be grabbing this one in physical format, and I would urge you to do similarly, especially if, like me, you've been jonesing hard for this kind of sound. Check out a couple of the singles, spin the album. I have a good feeling this could be on a year-end list for quite a few of you. This is all, of course, my opinion, guys, as you know, so if you have listened to Mannequin, please tell me what you thought of this record in the comments down there. If you did like this video, please do give it a thumb, please do share it around with anyone else you think could possibly enjoy it, and please, as always, do consider subscribing to the channel for some more content. My link tree will be left down below where you'll find all the various exciting places to find me across the internet, so please do drop me a follow, drop me a like, drop me a whatever it is on the particular website that you're looking at. Follow me around, see where I go, check out my life outside of YouTube. And until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures extremely odd.